Hey, everybody. So, this is Dr. Connie. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about the art of living with autoimmunity. So, living with an autoimmune condition can seem like a roller coaster ride, especially at the onset. There's so many puzzling symptoms that seem to persist to create anxiety and fear, so much so that if the symptoms didn't cause us to get sick, the stress of the symptoms itself alone will have us feeling sick for sure. But because autoimmunity can be multifaceted, involving so many systems in our body, and the mimicry of the different diseases, that it's often hard to follow. It's so difficult for the doctors to diagnose, and it usually takes, as you guys very well know, it can take years to diagnose with something. So I've had to live through extensive loss of hair to where I could not stop the hair loss and the significant thinning of my nails to where I felt as if I was dying. And for me, not to have hair, that was devastating. The skin rash that may come and disappear with no rhyme or reason. And sometimes I would have parotid glands that would swell up, or sometimes I would have projectile vomiting or like just shaking and tremors. It was just the most horrific experience ever. And there is no rhyme or reason. That's the hard part. And it was causing so much confusion that I often wondered if the trauma of this experience alone was perhaps was what was perpetuating factor of fueling the fire of autoimmunity. All this to say that many of you who live with autoimmunity experience the same. You have already have sought out various holistic practitioners and interventions sometimes to reverse your condition only to have limited benefit, while long term not sure how impactful such interventions were or are. That's been my case. I had to piecemeal so many different things together. But there are general guidelines in living holistically with an autoimmune condition. But because of so many variables affecting the manifestations of the disease, it's hard to know what helps and what doesn't. And what I can tell you is that it does get better, but it does require um, you to actually create a baseline balance that's more stable. Because at first, the ebbs and flows, it can be the baseline cannot be like stable. It just goes ups and downs. And that's typically what I see at the onset, typically, or during the flare times. But as you live with the autoimmune condition longer, it just gets a little bit more predictable. And so you sort of dance with the symptoms enough to where you can create some stability and balance in your life. The baseline can be still altered from a non disease state, but at least the baseline is established as opposed to the ups and downs of the system dysregulations that sometimes has on us in and out of the hospital with most mysterious symptoms. And like I said, that's, I think, by far the hardest thing about living with an autoimmune condition. So let's talk a little bit about the autoimmunity and stress. I used to be a black and white professional and a student who needed clear answers. But I realized that with autoimmunity, we never have black and white cause and effect to the symptoms. And I've been searching high and wide and with multiple practitioners to get the exact answers to my questions. But it wasn't available. And 20 years into this, I still don't have the black and white answers. Many of us have been in and out of the care of our medical practitioners only to be circled around and around without a clear diagnosis, which I think is the hardest part of it all. This process, by far, is the hardest for most patients as well. At least when we know what to do, and there's some relief in knowing it's potentially reversible, or at least we can get the right medications to help the disease, right? But if you don't know, you don't know. So autoimmunity is increasing every day. Symptoms, patients with symptoms, and autoimmune patients, and there's different types of autoimmune diseases today, and it's increasing as well. And we have so many variables that can have a significant impact in the progress of autoimmunity in the patients, but it's also highly individualized. This is the part you really have to understand. And so, what I try to teach in and really instill in every single one of my patients is to really recognize the fact that you really have to create this receptivity within and really learn to listen to the body, because all the symptoms of autoimmunity, I guarantee you, we don't know, we haven't been listening to our body. Even myself, years before the diagnoses, I've always been a health nut and health advocate, but I didn't really listen to my body. And I probably abused my body in more ways than not, because I was in school, graduate school, and it required a lot. And so for me at the time, grades mattered. And so I studied really, really hard. And I really destroyed my diet and probably I put my health at the last, even like I put grades before my body. And so knowing that, I really was not listening to the signs and symptoms that my body was trying to tell me until it reached the threshold of disease, enough to where it was alerting me to, get me in and out of the hospital. And those are the things that I want you guys to really pay attention to, because I can tell you, even as I was going in and out of the hospital, not a single doctor was able to tell me exactly what was wrong with me. It was tests after tests, specialists after specialists. And it was a really, really very disappointing time of my life, because I had so much faith in the medical system at that time. And little did I know just how much they didn't know. And so when you are stuck with being sick all the time, but the medical professionals can't tell you exactly what's wrong, that's like the scariest thing ever. So, this podcast today, this episode, isn't so much about defining the cause of autoimmunity. It's more about learning the art of living with autoimmunity. Okay. I'm of the mindset that more we can understand about our disease, the better we can successfully navigate our lives with it. And really, that's really the key in you thriving despite autoimmune conditions. Living through the uncertainty by far is the most frightening for patients, as it was for me. So, we need to understand the below concepts. I came up with 10 to enable us to move through our disease process in a way that helps us to find balance in our lives without having to throw us off our bearings and our control, right? So, number one, we need to understand that it is unpredictable. This disease that we have, it is unpredictable. Autoimmunity has many variables and many faces, and it manifests differently in everyone. Number two is stop comparing your disease with others with same autoimmune conditions. You must understand that the interplay between your genetic disposition and the autoimmune manifestations, plus the environmental factors, plus everything else in between, is a highly individualized one. It's never the same for everybody. There is no black and white with this. Number three is what works for someone may not work for you. There's massive diets and protocols being advertised, but each autoimmune patient responds differently to whatever intervention, both nutritionally, supplement wise, or even herbals. That's a fact. Number four is communicating with your loved ones about your symptoms is and how it makes you feel is key in creating a loving relationship. And if that deteriorates, that can cause so much stress and anxiety. And if you don't communicate, the only thing that grows is resentments and misunderstandings. Okay. I've had to learn that the hard way. Number five, your kids don't understand your disease and how it makes you feel. So if you can't play with them, especially if you've got little ones, or spend time with them due to a flare, it's important for them to know that it's not them, that mommy doesn't want to spend time with them because there's something wrong with them, because that's a mixed message, right? Really communicate with patience and love over and over so they don't feel unloved by you. Even to this day, my youngest son is all protective of her mom because I couldn't go near the pool at the time when he was little. And I would always tell him why. And then I would, in his little mind, he's formulated that sun is super bad for my mom. So he would walk around with umbrellas. And even to this day, he doesn't want me, like, he does everything he can to keep me in the shade. So that's super important. Number six is socially, you don't want to be a downer. Okay. So when in Rome, do what the Romans do, is what I learned the hard way when it came to my diet. The goal for functional medicine or any holistic intervention isn't to restrict the foods and the joy of eating forever. It's to heal enough to where your body can tolerate diverse foods as possible. This includes wine if you enjoy it, cake, coffee, whatever you choose as your vice. I want you to embrace it and have a goal to go back to that, right? And number seven is exercise is important, but pacing yourself is key. Too much of a good thing is not always good, as it can have a catabolic effect on your body, which means it is breaking down muscle, which is inflammatory, versus building muscles. I learned this the hard way. I'm a pusher and I like to exercise and I like to feel it and I like it hard. And I realized that whenever I did that, I would have to take, longer times in recovery. And that would really build up too much acid, lactic acid in my muscles to where it was like really aggravating with so much pain. So I learned the hard way that little bit goes a long way. And that's why I advocate yoga as the number one exercise of choice in our program because it's super healing. It allows you to connect with your mind to your body in ways no other exercises can. And it's something you can grow old with. Okay. Number eight is gratitude will go a long way. Learning to focus on what's positive and what you're thankful for, and getting in the habit of keeping a gratitude journal through prayer, too, you guys, will help you to have perspective. You'll need a daily reminder and fight to have gratitude, as otherwise, the autoimmunity will suck the positivity out of you if you let it, and it will always take the better side of you. So you really have to stay vigilant on keeping at the forefront of your mind what you're thankful for so you can remind yourself of those things. Number nine is choose carefully who you surround yourself with. You're the average of five people you're around the most. So consider who you spend your time with. It doesn't help to complain or focus on the bad. There's no upside to that. You will create what you focus on. So focusing on healing should be a priority, and surrounding with those with the same goal is key. And so we do have the tribe of autoimmune health rebels for that reason, because I wanted a space where you guys can come together to elevate one another with the focus of healing as the number one goal for everybody involved. There's no naysayers, there's no woe is me, we're not victims, but we use whatever is going on as a catalyst to create more health in our lives. So, really be careful of who you surround yourself with. Number 10, meditation is truly healing. It allows you to spend time cultivating awareness of your body, mind, and soul. So you can shift your body from stressful state to Zen. So it's more fight or flight, sympathetically driven state to more of the parasympathetic, the calm and zen, which is proven in science and research. So it doesn't require much. You sit up tall, assuming a comfortable seated position with your palm side up with focus on your breath to help you to shift inward. At first, your mind will resist. So start with a couple of minutes and build your resilience, endurance up for this meditative practice, up to quiet your mind without judgment. It's a couple of minutes and work up to as many minutes as possible. 20 minutes, I'd say, is a good goal for you. But if you can't do 25 minutes is just as well. It's the best thing you can do for yourself to grow and evolve beyond your physical limitations. So I hope this message gave you clarity and perspective and being artful in you thriving with autoimmunity. And as a 20-year veteran, as a lupus patient, I can tell you that for sure it does get easier and your body will respond to whatever you focus on. So, this thinking mindset of healing is huge. If you focus on sickness, that's what you'll create. That's what your brain will create. But if you focus on health no matter what, that's what it'll create. So stay with us and stay encouraged so you can continue to heal. And yes, I'm here to tell you that it's absolutely possible. And I'm here to tell you so that you can continue to believe in yourself and believe in the powerful ability for your mind to heal as well. So, with that in mind, happy Memorial Day. And I hope you guys are having a great day and really keep focus on the positive and really get rid of your victim mindset to one that empowers you. So step into your power every single day. That one empowered step at a time will get you to your goal. But really be clear about where that goal is, right? That finish line. I am here. So really be with me and really subscribe to our podcast. I'm at Lupus Rebel. This is the Facebook page. I have Dr. Connie G on YouTube channel, as well as I have Mind Your Health podcast on iTunes. And this goes everywhere. So you've got many different ways to keep the messages in. And that's why I do what I do. I want to keep the positivity at the forefront of your mind so I can transform the way you think so that you can evolve into a healthier version of yourselves every single day. And I'm here to tell you it is possible. Okay? Have a great day, you guys. Bye.